To talk about the proposition of the school purchasing the football field and the ag barn from the city. This is a project that's been going on for quite a while now, and I am certainly grateful to the city for working with us and doing everything possible to try to make this happen. I know there's been a little bit of misunderstanding as to why and things that can be done and not done and that sort of thing. And the school would like to, at some point in time, and here in just a little bit I'll visit about it, we would like to pass a bond to do some renovations to the football field and the ag barn. And I have spoken with two different school lawyers, one with OSSBA and our school lawyer with our association, and they have both told me that the school has to own the property in order to spend money on it, bond money. The school can spend general fund and building fund money on those projects. The problem with that is we don't necessarily have a large enough budget in our general fund and our building fund to do large building projects out of those things. So that's why it's imperative that we be able to pass bonds to be able to make those improvements. And so like I said, in the spring of 2025, our plan is to put a proposition in front of the community for a bond issue to improve facilities, which could improve the football field and the ag barn if this given proposition is approved. And so I feel like it's very, very important for the community to get out and vote. It is a great opportunity for the school to improve our facilities, but I also feel like it's a great benefit to the city. The school is primarily the unit that uses those properties, and so we need to improve it for the safety and well-being of our athletes and students. But also, I also know there's been a concern about, well, if the school owns it, is the community still going to be able to use it? And I can tell you from my point of view with the school, there's no intention of that changing. The school works very closely with the Sports Association. We work closely with 4-H and the FFA, and we want to do everything possible to benefit all of our kids and all of our community. And so, yes, we would like to purchase that, but it will in no way change the community's access to it. The YYSA will still be able to use it. And like I said, it will be a great benefit to all involved, the city and the school. And so, like I said, I feel like it's very important that we get out and vote, try to improve our facilities for the benefit of our kids. And so, I would also like to, in closing, say, my door is always open. If anyone would like to come and visit with me about this proposition or any other proposition or issue or concern about the school, I would love to hear from you. Those that do come and visit with me, they'll tell you. I will listen. I can't always guarantee that you'll get the answer that you want, but I can promise you your concern will be heard, and I will be happy to sit and visit with you and address your issue as best we can. So, are there any questions within the room? Okay, thank you for your time.
When is that bond coming up? When is it supposed to come up?
That will be the spring of 2025.
Okay.
My name is Joanne Muir, and we're here with the Stillwater League of Women Voters, and we're hosting this City Commission forum. And this is Larry Brown on my right and Richard Adson on my left. And they will have 2 minutes for opening and closing statements and 90 seconds to respond to questions. And there's timers here. Beth Furnish in the jacket with the red and blue, and Barbara Stadler's next to her there in the black jacket. And they will be timing, and they have 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then stop. And that's when they get have to stop responding to your questions. So anyway, and someone is, I think Deanna is handing out cards and pencils so that you have no personal attacks or anything on any person, any candidate. And so just word your questions very ethically. And you want to. He's the opening statement.
Okay. I'm Richard Ansett, and I am a candidate for seat 4 that is being vacated by Mike Straker. I've been on the commission several times before and served as mayor several times, and I feel like the times that I participated with the commission, that it was beneficial to the city and the citizens. The commission that we have right now is a good commission. Everybody is willing to work together, and being that Mike was not going to refile, he asked me to consider doing it, so I really kind of missed it. My Tuesdays are open now, but I did miss it. I was just trying to make the city a better place, and I think that not just myself, but the city commissioners involved have made the city a better place. I know there's a lot of criticism, but there's going to be criticism irregardless. And you just have to kind of bow up and do what's best for everybody. So, anyway, thank you. Did I have time
Good evening, my name is Larry Brown, and I've been on the commission for just one term for 3 years. And I just want to tell a little story about, there's so many things, so many words to be said, so many opinions out there, that my first commission meeting, I had a group of people meet me outside the door and pull me aside and start telling me what I needed to do, that I needed to fire our interim city manager, that I needed to do this and I needed to do that to make the city a better place. And I said, okay. Show me some reason why I should do that. And I'll be glad to fall in with you and give you some answers. I'm willing, but you gotta show me. And thus far, they haven't shown me anything, but they're still throwing things out there, saying all this stuff and that stuff. Just keep slinging stuff at the wall. And I just want to address that right now. The books for the city is wide open. Anybody that's willing to go down and inspect the books, look at the books at any time. And we have an independent audit once a year. So I think that it's just ridiculous for people to come in here and start saying, well, there's corruption everywhere you look. Under every rock, everybody's corrupt. And I'll tell you that the city commission, but we make a lot of money. I think it's $20 a month. That might buy our gas. So you have to have a heart for the city to want to do the right thing. And that's where I stand. I just want to do the right thing for the city. Sometimes there's some really tough decisions and choices to make. But we look to the Lord and just trust what He just do the best thing that we can for the community and not necessarily for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you both. Let's start. I have a question. These are from the audience. And I'll start with Richard. Should we split the police chief from the city manager? Why or why not?
Should we split?
Should we split the police chief from the city manager? Why or why not?
Well, right now, I don't think there's any reason to. I don't think really there's any reason to split the duties because Philip has been the city manager, interim city manager for several years now, and every year he grows and learns more. In my opinion, he's been an excellent city manager, and he continues to. And anytime I have a question for him, either while I was on the commission or just a citizen, he was always able to help me, and I don't have any problem with it. I've been involved with about 4 city managers, hiring and firing 4 city managers over the years, and by far they all had glowing resumes. My goodness, they could walk on water. But they ended up leaving at our request, and really, Philip has done a better job than all of them as far as I'm concerned. So therefore, I would go ahead and keep him, retain him as it is.
You just want to see them.
I just want to see if you do it.
I definitely would not split it, because one big thing is the money. Everybody's always talking about where money's going. Yale has finally, my first 3 years on the commission was all about the big gas bill that we had. That was mainly where all my time was consumed, about worrying about the big gas bill we had, trying to solve that, whether you do the right thing or whether you don't, but trying to protect the city. And I think that it was, Yale has finally got on a little bit of solid ground. I think we're getting ready to see some major things done. I think we finally got the finance. We've got things figured out. We've got a pretty good crew working for the city, and I think Philip's doing a fine job. And again, it's all about money. I've asked that question: what would it take? How would the city be improved if we hired a full-time city manager? And I've asked that question to several people. And they said, well, it would, don't know what it would improve, but it would cost the city a minimum of $100,000 to hire a full-time city manager to put him in Philip Kelly's way. So I'm definitely saying that I'm satisfied with where we're at right now.
Joanne, a question?
Yeah.
I've heard this, I don't know if it's true or not, but you can clarify it for me. Is he getting both salaries at this time?
Yes.
Okay. Police chief salary plus city manager salary.
Well, clarify that. He's not getting the full.
He's not getting the full salary, no. I mean, but he's getting a salary for, the reason he was hired to begin with was because the city was broke. They couldn't hire a full-time city manager anyway. So he stepped in to fill a position.
Yeah.
Next question. What one additional law or ordinance would you do the most to improve life for all citizens?
I think we had a discussion in the last meeting. I don't know if there is an ordinance that I would approve of. I think that I'm for less government all the way around, but unless we can enforce the ordinances that we have, why do we need a new ordinance? And so I think that that's part of the whole thing that we need to understand. And I think that as a city commission, I think we need to own the ordinances, to stand behind who's taking care of fulfilling those. So I can't think of an ordinance that I want to put in place. So.
Okay, I just wanted to add something. Deanna, I noticed you were walking around looking for, if you have a question and you're writing it down on a card, raise your hand and she'll come pick it up for you.
Well, I agree with Larry on that. We have enough ordinances right now to take care of the city. One of the things I've always complained about was abatements. And the junk, we have ordinances on that, but they aren't being enforced all the time. But I would rather see, like on abatements, I would rather see them pick 1 or 2 and get them finalized and cleaned up, and then move on to 2 more, rather than have 5 or 6 in limbo all the time. We have ordinances against junk cars that are all over town. We have ordinances against washing machines and refrigerators that are out in the yards that shouldn't be there. We have ordinances on the trash cans. People, I think they like to put their trash cans out by the curb and just leave them there instead of planting flowers. But, you know, we have enough ordinances, we just need to get everybody involved so that we can enforce them. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with you, Richard. What is your main plan for the city?
Well, my main plan is twofold, to, you know, try to get it cleaned up. Everybody asks whenever you run, they say, why don't you clean this place up? Well, that's what we'd like to do. But, yes, we need to clean it up. And also, the infrastructure in Yale needs a lot of work. Every time there's a water leak, we have to turn off the water for the whole town, it seems like. Whenever we've got mains everywhere, we got mains everywhere that don't work, and I always have talked to them about, if you have a water leak, fix the leak and put in a main where that leak is. That way you can isolate that part of town, or that block, or whatever. But, and the electric is in pretty good shape. We keep improving on that. And I think you've seen that we haven't had very many outages, and the outages that we have had have been due to OG&E, not the city of Yale. Of course, everybody says, well, it's the city of Yale. Well, it isn't all the time. Most of the time, it's OG&E. Thank you.
My main,
What is your main plan for the city?
well, there's, as Richard said, to improve the city overall, and by cleaning, I've got a mess to clean up myself, so I know there's messes all over town that need to be cleaned up.
We didn't talk about that.
But they're gonna replace the highway in 25, and I'm hoping that we can replace some of the streets coming off of that. All the infrastructure is 100 years old, it all needs to be replaced. How do you do that? But that's the main, that's an easy answer, to say we need to replace the infrastructure. We need, just all of it needs work, so but then how do we do that? So I'm thinking with the highway going through here, being from a construction background, I think we can get some of the blocks off the highway done, get some of the streets fixed, and just go forward. That's the main plan. We've got insurance money coming in to replace the community center, to fix the roof on the armory, to hopefully remodel City Hall. So I mean, once the insurance people get through with all of that, that's all in the plan. I think it's gonna be a good 3 years, so I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. And I'll ask you first. City council requires a significant time commitment, usually 2 to 4 meetings a month, as well as reading prep prior to meetings. How will this fit in with your other commitments?
I'm gonna kinda answer that through my wife. My wife told me the other day, said, I thought we were retired together. I'm involved with the American Legion. I'm a deacon of the church. I'm a city commissioner, and it's hectic sometimes, but guys, if you feel like you're accomplishing something and you're doing what you're called to do, it's what you do. And so I feel like I'm serving the Lord, I'm serving this community, and it's just the same way I serve the country. So you just make do. You make plans and then you adjust. We poured 376 yards of concrete on Main Street yesterday, and we had a good plan. We had a really good plan. Then things started going downhill, but we adjusted. We got it done. We got a good slab. And praise the Lord, we're going to have a new church on Main Street in Yale very soon. So.
But we don't have anything else. We don't have anything else.
No.
Okay.
Well, I'm retired, and so even whenever I was on the commission, I had plenty of time to participate. And really, we don't have that many extra meetings or special meetings. We have a good staff, and the staff usually takes care of everything, just unless there's something that has to be addressed as an ordinance or something like that. But as far as having to spend extra time with the city, I'm happy to do it.
Okay, we'll start with you now, Richard. What do you believe is the role of the city council in our community?
Well, the role of the city council is to make and enforce ordinances and to listen to the citizens and what their needs are and to react to that. I think we have a pretty healthy citizenry, and I don't think anybody's afraid to express their desires as to what needs to be done.
What do you believe is the role of the city council in our?
Well, and our role too is just to listen to people and make sure that the infrastructure is taken care of and that the utilities are on, the streets are in relatively good shape.
Question?
Thank you.
We just assumed that you have to ask one that we could do, yeah, yeah.
I believe the role of the city commissioner is multifaceted. I think that sometimes you feel like a tack board, because all you hear is complaints from everybody about first one thing and then another, and then you think you got that addressed and you hear other complaints. So sometimes you feel like that's all you hear is complaints and wonder if you're doing anything worthwhile at all. So and I'm gonna go back to say that it's the heart that matters. If you don't feel like that's what you need to be doing, you don't need to be there. And I'm really thankful that everybody has given me the chance to serve. I think everybody ought to do it at least once. I really do, because it's eye-opening. You think that you can do anything that you want. I can get this done, I can get that done. Well, you can't. You're only one vote, and you work with a group of people. And the more people work together, the more you get done. And I see the community pulling apart more than coming together. And that's what like I said, sometimes I feel like a tack board. Just let me hear your problem. So.
Start with you, Larry. Do you think you have any personal or professional relationships that would become a conflict of interest while serving as a council member?
Not to the church.
I hope not. I don't think there's any conflicts. The only thing, some people would say that the church is a confliction with the city, but I don't think that it is. So I don't believe that I have anything or can say anything. I believe my main point that I stand on is I try to operate from a standpoint of integrity. I go to sleep at night and don't worry about what's going on, because I made the best choice that I made for everything that I did. Sometimes, and that's just the way I try to live my life. And I hope to be judged on that someday. So.
Do you want me to repeat it?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't feel like I have a conflict either. I've been in business in Yale since I got out of the service in '77, and we had the lumber yard. I felt like my experience down there, and as well as in the military, had helped me a lot to deal with some of the things with the city. Just in knowledge of the electrical and the plumbing and sewer and all that. But I've never felt like there was a conflict of interest in any way. We did business with the city at the time, and the Attorney General gave his blessing to it, so there was no conflict, and to my knowledge, there still isn't. Everything is just fine.
Thank you. We'll start with you this time. What is your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues?
Well, just about any issue that is brought before the city is gonna be controversial, because as Larry said, you know, someone's gonna be in favor and someone's going to be against. And irregardless of which way you go, you're gonna make somebody mad. But the only thing that we can do, the only thing that I can do, is look at the ordinance that's pertaining to the problem and try to make as reasonable of a decision for the city, for everybody, really. But study the problem, check the ordinances, and see, and of course, go to our lawyer and make sure that we are following the law.
And one of the things that bothers me the most is you have to have an attorney present to have a city commission meeting. And, you know, just to make sure that you don't make our own self, we're not liable, held liable ourselves. It's just strange that we live in America that we have to have an attorney present to hold a meeting. But that's the way it is, because, so, some people says that our attorney runs the meetings. He doesn't, but he keeps us in line where we're not gonna be held liable. So, I think I just think that it's a shame that we have to have an attorney. I'm sorry about that.
Larry, do you think the city attorney is doing a good job?
I'll answer that by saying attorneys has never been my favorite people in the world. But I think he's doing a necessary job. I do. I think it's very necessary for what we have, and so I think that Roger's doing a acceptable job. I'll put it that way. Yes.
Wholeheartedly, I say he is doing an excellent job. I was on the commission whenever we were between city managers. We had one city manager that got fired, and the city was in dire straits financially. Our workers' comp wasn't paid, our withholdings weren't paid, the insurance for a brand new $125,000 fire truck was not existent for over a year until he came on board. He found all these things. He negotiated with the IRS and the state and the DEQ and got us out of trouble. And as far as, if you want to know what I think about Roger McMillan, I think he's an excellent attorney, and he has the heart of Yale at heart.
Start with you, Richard.
Yes, it was.
Has the sewer being emptied in the creek in town been addressed? Concerned about wildlife and children fishing and playing in creek?
Say that again?
Has the sewer being emptied in the creek in town been addressed? Concerned about wildlife and children fishing and playing in the creek?
All right, the DEQ.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
We've been under several consent orders over the years about the sewer plant. And the DEQ has been on our back numerous times and threatened us with fines, and I think we did even fine many times. But anyway, the sewer plant is checked regularly by the DEQ, and as far as I know right now, that they always say that the discharge that's going into the creek, you can take a cup and drink it. Of course, he asked the DEQ guy to do that, and he said, I don't think I will. But he says it is so. And yes, as far as somebody fishing in the creek, or, God, I surely don't want to swim in it, but I don't really believe that there's a problem, according to the DEQ.
know, growing up, I know what they call that creek. And I actually went swimming in it a few times, not by choice, but compared from then to now, you see how technology's grown and see what all it's hard to stay in compliance with the DEQ. But as far as right now, we are in compliance, and that's the best that I can say. We're in compliance with it, and we do everything that we can to stay in compliance, so, because we don't need any more funding.
Great. You both have mentioned that cleanup is a priority. With one person as city manager and police chief, why is the city not being cleaned up? Who holds Chief Kelly accountable?
That's the goal of each one of us, is to get the city cleaned up. But I can say, all right, with the times that we live in right now, it takes money. I'm just gonna give a reference from our church on downtown, how much money it takes to clean a place up. We bought 5 buildings and cleaned up 5 buildings and the city allowed us to take it to the dump. Then we got turned into the DEQ and we had to go clean that up. There were other people's dump stuff there. We cleaned that up. The church paid for that and cleaned that up also. So by the time we got ready to build this church on downtown Yale, we had $200,000 in a vacant lot with 5 buildings, and I don't know anybody that'd be willing to invest that much money as far as an investment. So I'm very thankful for our church for staying the game and doing what God has called us to do. But I'm just saying it costs money. There's not a lot of money in Yale. There's a lot of poor people in Yale, and how do you enforce that? Are you going to put people on the streets, or are you going to say, clean it up? That's an age-old question, guys. What do we do? How do we do it? It's not Chief Kelly's fault, I can tell you that.
Well, in fiscal year 23, the city allotted $3,000 for abatement to be cleaned up, trash, houses, stuff like that, which was not near enough. We just didn't have the money, from what I understand. And in the fiscal year 24, they had over $20,000 that they spent to tear down old houses and haul them off. And that's just a couple of houses. I think that we need to double or triple that amount. And we've got several houses that are pretty well burned down that need to be cleaned up. And we have an abatement officer that is, he's doing an excellent job in my opinion, because he's got so much to do. And but I really do think that whenever we start an abatement on a piece of property, that we need to follow through until its completion before we start another one.
Joanne, are we not gonna hear from the other 2 candidates?
I don't know where they are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this will be for Richard. Why are almost all new ordinances put on the agenda as emergencies? Why can't you ask the public first?
Well, most of the time that whenever we have an ordinance, if it is for health and welfare, then we attach the emergency clause, which puts it into effect whenever it is printed. And on others, if we don't attach the emergency clause, then it goes into effect in 30 days. But the emergency clause should be used on a lot of things, especially where health and welfare is at risk.
I can think of one instance that it was used and it was absolutely necessary. If you remember, we had a $1.4 million gas bill that we fought and couldn't get any kind of no kind of satisfaction. Everything was against us. The gas company would not negotiate. We had some help coming from the state, but the gas company would not understand that. So The way I think I heard that on Facebook, that the Three Stooges voted to file bankruptcy for the city of Yale. And by us voting to file bankruptcy, they automatically backed off and said, okay, we're gonna negotiate now, we'll accept what you're offering now. So I think that was absolutely an emergency, so I think in one place that it was used, so.
Thank you. And we'll start with you this time. This is the second year the pool will be closed. What are your thoughts for the future of the pool?
I think there's a feasibility study going on right now. I think one of our commissioners, Ms. Nancy, is looking into that and saying, guys, if the pool was being used like some of the pools around, if it's like it was when I was growing up, if there was 100 kids out there a day going around, I think there was no amount of money. I mean, we'd spend whatever it takes to put the pool back in operation. But when you have 2 or 3 kids a day, sometimes none, you can't get a volunteer lifeguard anymore. So I think there's a very strong I think we're looking into that and see what to make the best decision for the community. And we need to hear from the public also. So.
Well, the public needs to be aware too that the swimming pool is a loss leader. It makes no money. It loses money. The last year it was open, it cost the city $21,000. And we had an inspection, I heard about it, it was $8,500 just to find out what the problems with the pool are. And just to get it to where you can open it was going to cost $250,000. And to bring it up to standards was going to cost over $1 million. The swimming pool was built in the mid-50s, and it's just old. It's old and it's wore out, and this is what we need to put it to sleep. It needs to be completely redone, but I don't know where we're going to get the money unless there's going to be some sort of a government grant that will fund it, because we don't have the money to do it. We just don't. I know Commissioner Griffin's been looking into it, and I hope she finds it. But as it looks right now, it's kind of sketchy whether it will really come about.
Start with you, Richard. What is your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues?
Slowly. And quietly. You know, we've had, the gas company was a very complicated situation that I was involved with. Also, I was one of the stooges that said, yeah, let's go bankrupt. And people might need to know too that our attorney was sheltering us all the time. And we didn't think we were going to have to do it, but we had to do something to bring the gas company around to negotiate, because they just wouldn't do it. But we had to do it slowly, take our time, and try to do it right.
What is your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues?
That's an age-old question, isn't it? I say that about how do I handle my wife, very carefully. You make the best decision. You make the choices that you make. Some choices in life are easy, and when it's controversial, I want to do the best thing for everybody. Okay, but every decision we make is not good for everybody. So only thing I can say is I pray about it and go at it in the most logical way that I can.
Okay, we'll start with you, Larry. What skills and experience do you have that you believe would be beneficial to you as a council member?
Well, I've been a cement finisher for over 50 years, from Las Vegas, Nevada, and Arizona, and Utah, and Oklahoma. And so they told me the prerequisite to being a cement finisher, you had to have a strong back and a weak mind. So evidently I qualified in all those areas. So, but I think the one thing that I have to bring to the table as a city commissioner is that I want the best thing for everybody. I don't have there's no preconceived notion, there's no innuendos, that what you see is what you get. And that's just the way I want to be, just who I am. So I hope that I do a good job from my heart, and I hope that that's good enough. So thank you.
What skills and experience do you have?
Well, the knowledge and skills that I have were mostly learned through the lumberyard where I worked and where I owned at one time. My knowledge of the electrical system, the sewer system, and the water system. I mean, just by helping people do their repairs and supplying the city with a lot of repair material, I feel like I had a good working knowledge of what it takes to make the city, or to keep the city going, not to make it go. I can't do that, but that's what the city manager's for. But anyway, and I served on the fire department, and that was helpful for the city. And I also am a Lone Chimney board member representing the city and representing the city's interest in the lake. And I try to do that to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, I'll start with you, Richard. What previous community involvement have you had in Blaine or another city?
And who?
Blaine, maybe they meant Yale, I don't know. In Blaine or another city?
So we get an interpretation here.
Yeah, Blaine, it's Blaine. Okay, thank you. We'll do that. Do this here.
We don't know who Blaine is.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll start with you. What do you think it would take to bring new business to town? What is keeping them away?
There's all kinds of opinion on that, and I think that's everyone's goal, is to bring new business to town, to bring for the sales tax, to grow the community, and that would be all of our goals. But what is a community? Is it the houses? Is it Mugsy's? What is a community? We're the community, the people's community. And I was asked by the newspaper here not too long ago, what's the best thing about Yale? And I said, the people. And she said, well, what's the worst thing about Yale? And I said, the people. But I say that maybe kind of jokingly, but unless we come together and want to work together, there's no chance. We have no chance in growing Yale. People, the community's got to come together and want the best thing for the community. If they don't, if we continue to have this separation, these accusations and just coming after one, the worst thing, we got to get rid of this, we got to get rid of that. We got to come together and agree on something, or I don't really think we have a chance to grow Yale. I'm thankful for Mugsy's, by the way.
Well, other towns have grocery stores, other towns have auto parts stores, and other towns have lumber yards, and other towns have donut shops. And why do they have them? Because the citizens participate and support them. We don't have the items that the stores that I just talked about, because the people in Yale would support them. If you want to know what's going to take to get business in town, or another grocery store, for instance, people have got to patronize them. They've got to shop there. Okay, yes, we might pay 5 cents more for an apple, or or 10 cents more for a pound of nails, but it's gonna cost you $20 to go to Stillwater back. But everybody wants to worry about saving a nickel. We lost our donut shop, which was a nice little donut shop. She just didn't have the business. Who do we blame for that? Us. That we didn't patronize them. So if you want to get businesses in town, if they do come, you need to patronize them.
You answered that already.
I do.
Okay. Assess the recent, and we'll start with you. Assess the recent performance of the it says insert name of office as city council commissioner. And if elected, would you keep it in the same direction or change course?
One more time.
Assess the recent performance of the city council member, commissioner, and if elected, would you keep it on the same direction or change course?
That's not a yes or no question, is it? It's, I think that as people, I think we need to constantly change. We need to have plans and goals that we look out for, and I think we need to constantly change. But as long as you feel like your fellow, I worked with a lot of guys over the years, and I felt as long as they were giving me their best, give me the best that they had, I'm going to support them. And I feel like that as long as I'm working with the city council, with the interior government of Yale, as long as they're giving me the best that they have, I think that I'm going to stay right where I'm at. I think that as long as we're getting the best that we have.
I believe that the city commissioners that we have right now are on the right course. Of course, you can always change in mid-course as needed, but we have good commission. They're all good members, and they all have the heart of the city in mind. And I would be happy to serve with any and all of them.
We'll start with you this time. Given existing budget constraints, how would you stretch taxpayer dollars and will example your goal to offer services to deter crime, etc.?
Well, these are tough questions, Bill. If you look at the way our country's going right now, I know I've talked to Chief Kelly about that. He takes someone to Stillwater and drops him off, and they beat him back to Yale. So, how do you deter crime with that? When you take somebody that needs to be charged and they beat you back to Yale. So I'm pro law enforcement all the way. I think that we got to, although I didn't used to be, but I was kind of on the other side of things in my early days. So, but I'm pro law enforcement, and anything we can do to deter crime is what we need to do.
Did you answer that or not?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I will. I think that the police force that we have on hand right now are excellent. I think that they do try their best to enforce the laws. We have a lot of areas where citizen input would help them a lot, but they don't get the input that they need all the time. Our parks, recreational areas, they're a lot of them are done with donations by private citizens, and a lot of them have been torn up. People know who's doing it, but the police can't. They always say, well, why can't the police find it? Well, the police don't know. They can't be everywhere. Besides that, the people that are doing it know where the police are at all the time. So we need more citizen input to help them.
Thank you. We'll start with you, Richard. How can we hire the best? How do we attract really good applicants?
Give them $100 an hour. And it's difficult to find, it's difficult to find somebody that wants to work for $15 or $18 an hour for the city. A lot of times they don't take into account that not only are they getting their hourly wage, but they are getting the benefits, and the city has an excellent benefit package. And really, we have some good workers. The city manager has increased the salary of the workers. And I really think that it needs to be increased again, but of course, it's the money. We gotta have the money. And as long as we spend our money wisely and don't throw it away on things that can't be fixed, we might be able to do it.
How do you hire applicants, and how do you hire well-trained applicants? And I want to kind of just repeat something that I've heard, that the previous city manager before our interim city manager was a great guy. Everybody loved him. He was a great guy, just put forth just all kinds of good stuff, but he left the city broke. He wasn't accomplishing anything. So there's a lot more than just hiring. And on paper, he looked wonderful. He looked like the perfect candidate. But then you find out that he wasn't the perfect candidate. So that's, as I say, I've worked with a lot of people over the years. The proof's in the pudding. You got to try and see where you're at, and then go from there. So.
We'll start with you, Richard. How would you describe your management style?
Easy. I was running a crew in Las Vegas, and the manager came to me and said, Larry, you need to be more forceful. I was running about a 30-man crew, and he said, Larry, you need to be more forceful. And I said, you mean like Dennis? He screamed and yelled at everybody all the time, everything. He just screamed. And I said, you mean like Dennis? And I said, well, maybe so. And I said, well, just get me my money. Because I believe in operating from a standpoint of respect. I respect you for the lowest man on the job, deserves his respect, as well as if I can't respect you, then I'm going to fire you. I'm going to do what I'm. So that's why I go from a standpoint of respect on everything.
Well, while I was in the military, I was a supervisor for anywhere from 5 to 22 men. And whenever you supervise people, you've got to have a heart. You've got to listen to them, and you can't yell at them. You can't belittle them. You have to respect them and encourage them. As far as with the city, I'm not a supervisor. That is the city manager's job. A lot of people think that the city commissioners can tell the city workers what to do, or the city employees. I don't tell them nothing. I just ask them if anything is possible to get, if I can get something done possibly. But I'm kind of like Larry, you gotta treat people like humans and have a little respect.
Okay, we'll start with you, Richard. What are the most pressing issues in this office you are seeking?
The pressing issues is to keep
Most pressing.
the most pressing, well, to keep the infrastructure up to where we don't have breakdowns, so that the citizens have adequate power, water, and sewer. And also, to try to make the town more presentable for people that come in. And by that, abatements, encouraging people to clean up. There's a house up on the west side that some people bought, and they are put a fortune into that house. And it shows. And right across the street, there is a house that has trash all over it. And, you know,
And on day.
it doesn't take anything to take care of your property. A gallon of paint goes a long ways. Or a trash bag, just pick up junk. It goes a long ways. And I really, that's one of my pet peeves. I try to keep mine down, or okay. I try to keep my property up and presentable. And I really expect everybody else to do the same.
Richard sounds like my wife. Yelling the paint goes a long way. One more time, what's the question?
What are the most pressing issues in the office you are seeking?
I really don't know how to answer that, because just about everything we look is pressing. It's pressing, and I think, I want to go back to what I said at the very beginning. The most pressing issue that we have is to do the right thing, to distinguish the difference between right and wrong, and try our best to do the right thing. I think that has to be the most pressing issue that we have. We have lots of them, like I say, our utilities, but right now the biggest complaint in town is the high utility bill. But I've heard that since my mom and dad first moved to Yale. I've heard high utility bills. So, but we all got them. So, what do? I think if you seek an answer, you'll find out there's a reason behind most of it.
Yes,
Start with you. What are your goals for the office?
To continue to try to improve the city, like Richard said, to clean up where possible. But I think I made a statement the other night at a meeting. I think that as a city commissioner, we dedicate for the abatement officers. We dedicate for that. And do you think that he's a really likable guy? But you go abate somebody's property to see whether their attitude changes. And so I think that we as commissioners need to be able to stand right beside him and see the reaction from the public on everything that we do, and say we need to stand up and be accountable along with our abatement officer, with everybody there. I think that we have to, I believe, as a commissioner.
Officer Moore does an excellent job, and I commend him for it. It's a rough job, and nobody likes to see him come, whether it's in a speeding car or a junkyard. But as a commissioner, it's part of our duty to keep the property values in this town up. I want my property values to be high, and I think everybody else wants theirs to be high, to keep it up. And that also has to do with if we were to go out for bonds or something like that, they look at the town as a whole as I'm trying to say how they're appraised, the property values. That's what I'm trying to say. But it's our job to keep the property values up, and that way we're able to get better bonds. And also, along with that, we got to save money, because whenever you're going out for a grant or something, the amount of money you have on hand is a big item. Yeah. And if you're throwing it away on abatements, which we shouldn't have to do if people clean up. But, if you're throwing away your money on abatements, then you're not able to accumulate the money that you need. You did it, didn't you?
Okay. What do you plan to accomplish in your first 30 days and in your first 90 days?
In the first 30 days, I just want to be able to make the meeting. No, I just want to be a part of a progressive commission. That's what I want to be. Whether it's 30 days, 90 days, 120, or 2 years, I just want to be a part of a progressive commission.
I agree with that, and again, just because we're on this, we sit on the same commission, we don't always agree on everything, but that's part of it, we're able to discuss things. But the open meeting laws prohibits us from discussing just whenever we want to. We can't, did you know that 3 city commissioners can't be together at the same time without a meeting? That we're breaking the law if 3 of us together at once? So, I mean, there can only be 2. So the only time we really have to discuss it is at the meetings. And so sometimes things get up, but I agree. But so none of us agree all the time, but I think as long as we're looking forward to the betterment of Yale, to the betterment of the citizens, I think that's what we, the first 30, like Richard said, the first 30 to the last 30.
What do you see as the commissioner's primary role?
I'm going to answer that kind of from a church standpoint. A lot of people, I'm a deacon in Fellowship Baptist Church, and a lot of people think that being a deacon in church is an elevated position, that you set yourself up above others. But when in all actuality, being a deacon is a servant position. So I think that being a city commission is a servant position. I think I do that because I feel like I can do something to better the community, to better everybody. So I think it's a servant position.
Well, I agree with Larry that it's our duty to listen to the people. And it's also our duty to make sure that the city stays within budget, because we approve all the spending, and if we get out of budget, it's our fault. But to stay in budget, to make sure the infrastructure is kept up, make sure that the city manager does his job, and the city clerk.
Start with you, Richard. What do you think is the most important skill of being a good city commissioner?
Most important skill? To be a good listener.
Well, I agree with that. I put a shirt on this morning. My wife bought it for me when I was in Las Vegas. She thinks that I talk too much sometimes. So it said, just shut your face. And so sometimes I think that's the best thing. You just have to be quiet and listen and see and then try to make the decision that's the best for, like I said, so many decisions that we make is so unpopular, especially when it's Officer Moore coming to see you. He's very unpopular, and that makes us unpopular. But we have to stand behind our decisions and think that we're with an open conscience and know that we're doing the right thing. So.
All right. Okay. What is the biggest need of the city commissioner now, and what would you do to fill that need?
Well, continuing education is one need. I think all the commissioners go through indoctrination course with OMAG, and but we need to keep up with all the new regulations and stuff concerning the city and how we conduct the meetings.
I really don't know how to answer. The most urgent need,
Most biggest need, biggest need of the city commissioner, and how and what would you do to fill that need?
I know most of you don't gonna like my answer, but that's what I asked Eric, what's the most urgent need of everybody today? And it's Jesus. I'm gonna answer that. That's the biggest need that all of us have is Jesus. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with you, Larry. What would you say the city commissioner's position entails? Okay. What would you say the city commission position entails?
Well, we've already said some of it. Richard said being a good listener, also being able to make tough decisions, being able to speak your mind, it's all involved in just being who you are and being the person that God made it. It's all in one.
Yeah, being a good listener and not being judgmental. It's easy to be judgmental with certain people. I tend to get judgmental with one or two people whenever I was on the commission. But you have to keep an open mind and try your best to treat them with respect.
Okay, we'll start with you, Richard. Describe an ethical dilemma you faced. How did you resolve it?
It's getting pretty personal.
Help me, Lord.
These were sent to you.
I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that. I do know that, let's get back to whenever we were having the gas line problem. And there were a lot of things that didn't seem at first to be very ethical. But with more study and more guidance from our attorneys out of Oklahoma City that we spent a fortune on, but it was money well spent. We did come up with the right decision, and they were ethical.
An ethical dilemma, that seems like I face those daily. Like as we just poured the concrete down on Main Street, we needed to use the fire hydrant for water on that project, but rather than have somebody complain about the church using the city water, we had a meter put on there so we could meter the water. And so I think you just do the right thing. You do the ethical thing, whether it hurts you, but you be honest and truthful and straightforward. And then, as I said, I don't have any trouble sleeping at night.
We'll start with you, Larry. How are you funding your campaign?
I'm doing it tonight. God, I'm not putting out any signs. I think, like I say, the people that know me, I go door to door, I talk to people on the street. That's how I'm funding my campaign. I just am who I am, and I'm going to stand up for you, for myself, for this community, and I'm going to do the right thing. That's how I'm going to fund my campaign. It's not everything in this world today seems to be about money, and this is not about money.
Well, what little money I have spent at the request of my wife has been all personal money. I don't like campaigning at all. This is the first one of these I've come to, because I always felt like people know who I am and what I stand for. And I've been elected to the commission 4 times. So really, it just kills me to have to go out and put up those stupid signs, but she insists.
Okay, what civic organizations or nonprofits have you been an active member of in recent years?
Organizations?
Yeah, what civic organizations or nonprofits have you been an active member of in recent years?
Well, the Yale City Commission, nonprofit, you think. But, no, I'm a member of the Lone Chimney Lake Board, and, really, that's about the only thing I am on, except for whenever I was on the city commission. I'm active in my church, and that's about it. I'm a very boring person.
So those of you that know me know that I'm not really civic minded. I've never really gotten involved in government, and but I am very involved with our church. And again, I think that's our number one goal in life, is to be involved with a group of people that you love and that they love you, and to serve God. If we do that, I feel like that we can't go wrong in what we do in the community.
We'll start with you, Larry. What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
Right?
Well, we used to have a gospel group, and we went everywhere and sang. We sang all over the country, all around here and there. And that's like, I don't have a real good singing voice. That's what I told everybody. They just had me along to stand up there and look pretty. So I'm going to say that's what my goal is, just to sit here and look pretty.
Good luck.
I'll be the oldest. No, of course, I will be the oldest one on the commission, although I do think that the experience that I had with the commission in the past is a benefit.
You answered that, right? Yeah. Okay. What endorsements have you received, if any?
Well, my preacher, who lives out of town, told me that he hopes that I will run and win. But I've had several friends that have of course, they haven't gotten in the paper and endorsed me. I've got a problem with that. But I really think that my friends, I can get their endorsement. I believe I have their endorsement. Yes, I know. I've got yours.
Well, I've been married for 54 years, and the first time I ran for the commission, my wife didn't vote for me. So I have my wife's endorsement this time.
That's good.
It's true.
Why are you running? Why did you decide to run?
As always, in a small community, there's always issues going on, always trouble, always accusations, and I was encouraged by several friends, my pastor being among them, that I needed to run for, and I said, why? You know, what can I do? And I still say, what can I do? And again, I'm going to go back to that. I just try my best to do the right thing for every situation. And my wife tries to keep me right there in line too. So But that's the reason I ran, is because I was encouraged to run by several people, but that I thought that I could do some good in some of the situations.
Well, I agree with Larry, that's the same reason I'm doing it. I love my town, I love Yale. I've been here all my life, and I continue to, I plan on staying here until the end. But I hate to see it go downhill, and I really want to be a part of trying to build it up.
Yes.
How have you dealt with challenges in past positions?
Well, all I can say is that dealing with challenges is to step back, take a breath, and study what the challenge is and what it's going to take to get it under control. Find the people that you need to find that are able to, like the lawyers or engineers. It depends on the problem that you're working on, but you have to find the right people to address the problems.
We addressed one yesterday. The concrete plant told me they had 9 trucks and that it was all dedicated to pour 376 yards, and midway they pull 2 trucks off and start pouring somewhere else. We have a pump truck on the job. So how do you deal with those issues? You as I said before, you make plans and then you adjust. And that's the way with life. Because our plans don't always work forward. You don't always do just what you have planned. So you make your plans and then you adjust and make it happen. So.
Okay, this next question is, we'll start with you, Larry. What experience do you have with large budgets? How are you equipped to handle a budget as large as the city budget?
Ask my wife. Really, the budget issues are necessary, but the line items, you look at each line item, and as we say, we have to stay within budget. So I've never been blessed with a lot of money. I think that when the Lord looked at me, he said he's not smart enough to handle money. So that's the reason I feel like that we have to look at every line item and what is spent, and if it's within budget and to have the discussion. So sometimes they're not always pleasant.
Well, and having had a business and dealing with the ups and downs of a business, again, the city of Yale is a business, and we are $1 million plus budget. I don't have access to those figures, but I do know that I'm also the secretary treasurer for the Lone Chimney Lake Board, and we have a $1.6 million budget out there that we scrutinize every month, and we stay in budget, thank God, and we always end up in the black. But and that's our job, and that's our job as commissioners too.
Okay, we'll start with you, Richard. What can the city commissioner, or how can the city commissioner have an impact on the opioid and drug problem in the region?
Well, the biggest impact that I can think of is to support our local law enforcement and make sure that they have all the tools that they need in order to detect and enforce the law, detect the opioids or drugs. They're our first line of defense, and we need to make sure that Ken and the boys have what they need when they need it.
well, you can't shoot them, so so I agree with Richard, that we have to rely on our law enforcement officers. I think our judicial system is failing us. I think they're turning people loose way too soon. But we still have to support our law enforcement officers because that is our first line that is our defense, so.
Okay, how would you handle a situation if a subordinate was believed to have committed a crime?
I would do the investigation and take the appropriate measure. If it's true, we need to follow through with it. If it's not true, which so many accusations are unfounded, but you do the investigation. If it's true, you take the following steps. You do what you have to do.
Well, I agree with Larry, you can't just sweep it under the table. If they are committing a crime, it has to be reported. And, you know, the job of the commissioner is not all that great, especially if you have to report a broken law, especially a subordinate. We just have to report it. I mean, what else can you do? You can't hide it. Because if you hide it one time, you're gonna hide it again.
We'll start with you, Richard. How would you pick your staff?
Public elections.
What was the question?
How would you pick your staff?
I did. As a city commissioner, I didn't know we had a staff. I thought we just worked together. You know,
That's you. You're a staff.
so.
We're gonna elect you.
But, well, I just didn't know we had a staff. I picked my wife and she's my staff, and so she takes pretty good care of me, so praise the Lord for that.
Thank you. Okay, Larry, we'll start with you. School shootings have parents, school districts, and law enforcement agencies looking for ways to ensure schools are always safe. What plans do you have when it comes to school safety? What policies would you enact and why?
I believe that we have school resource officers at school at all times, don't we, Ken? And that's just one, but everybody has become more aware to keep the doors locked, to pay attention to everything that's going on. Don't take anything for granted. Be aware of what's in front of you, and just be alert. And I think that so far, I think we're doing a good job here. I do. So.
Again, I'll agree with Larry, but, you know, a lot of the problems with the school shooters or the violence in school can be alleviated if most of these kids just had a mother and a father that gave a damn. I think that the root of just about all of the juvenile problems begins at home, because they aren't parented. And I mean, my children, I love both of them, and we tried to guide them as best we could, and they're both very successful right now, and neither one of them been in jail. So, and they're raising good kids too. So I really, you know, the resource officers in school are nice to have. It's a necessity anymore, but I really believe that it starts at home, and anything that the city can do as far as recreation for the family is really needed.
Thank you. Thank you. Should the city commissioner be a sanctuary see. Like, should Yale, the region, as Oklahoma, I'm not sure, it says insert name of region, be a sanctuary, insert type of region, the city or county. I don't think, I think it will go on to the next
We're
one,
going
yeah.
to the sanctuary city?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. What's the number one challenge facing the next city commissioner when it comes to management of the new department and working with the other officers?
I think that is a challenge, to figure out how we can work together and not have too many disagreements, but to come together and to have our discussions and to come together and without being belligerent, to finally come to some kind of middle ground to agree that we're doing the right thing. Lord knows that's not always easy.
What's the number one challenge facing the city commissioner when it comes to the management of the department and working with other people in the city?
I think it's just the cooperation between the other commissioners and the department heads. Not necessarily the department heads, because we don't interact with department heads. We interact with the city manager. And I feel like, as a commissioner, we don't tell the workers to do, or the department heads. We do all our correspondence with the city manager. We have a chain of command, and we need to use it. Anytime you break that chain of command, then you're gonna have problems.
Did you answer? Oh, okay, well, that's all I had for questions. I don't know if there's any more from the audience or not. But before closing statements, I want to thank Deanna for setting this all up for us, the League of Women Voters. We're very honored that you asked us to host this. And Beth and Barb and I are very grateful to you. So I can't remember who went first. Did you go first?
He went first.
You went, okay.
It's my turn.
All right. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, girls. Well, I would really like to serve another 3 years on the city commission. I feel like the time that I have served before was time well spent. I know that the last time I was elected, I resigned after, I think, 2 months, and there was 2 reasons that I did that. One, I had a illness in the family, and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to take care of my duties. And 2, there was a young man that was an excellent young man with a level head, and he said he would love to be on the commission, but he just didn't want to run. And so anyway, whenever I told him that I was considering getting off, asked him if he would serve, and he said that he would love to, and that's our current city mayor, and he has done an excellent job.
I want to go back to the very beginning, the way I started this, guys. I was asked to run, and I really don't know my qualification. But if you go back to what God says, He says He don't call the qualified, but He qualifies the called. So I think I'm just going to do my best that I know how to do in every situation, and trust in the Lord in all of it. And I had so many things that I wanted to say, but the one thing I can see coming at this whole election is that the city's corrupt, that we're spending money where it's not supposed to be. We have a bad city manager. Our police force is corrupt. I'm seeing it coming. That's what they're saying, is that we're. And again, I just want to say, show me. and we'll act upon that, but I gotta see it before I'm gonna act upon it and not just go by rumors. And I don't do Facebook, but I hear a lot of what's going on on Facebook, so I do it again. If you see anything that I need to address, well, just let me know, and I will act upon it appropriately.
Thank you both, and thank you for having us here.